Hello.
Hello. So we feel a bit better than last week, don't we?
Oh yeah, were we in a bad place last week?
Yeah, it was about feeling that we felt a bit lost. Remember?
Okay, yeah.
In the meantime, I went away. I went on a little trip with my parents.
It's a lovely time.
Yes.
Viewing the beauties of Ireland.
Yeah, and it's absolutely stunning.
Mm.
Now, but we're not going to talk about that today. So what we're going to talk about could be quite interesting because we're going to talk about guilt. And I see guilt personally as quite negative.
Mm-hmm.
But then Andrew just said, just before press...
Sometimes guilt can be... Sorry, I just spoke over you there. Sorry. Sometimes guilt can be something that motivates us to do the right thing. Now, you can see that as, is that your conscience? But then sometimes... And then Jamie said, well, I see guilt as negative because guilt is a negative emotion for her. Now, the reason being it's probably something where I see it as a good motivator is I've had quite a religious path in my younger life and I've had a lot of guilt to deal with. Now, a lot of that guilt I am able to now recognise and ignore, but then a lot of that, those other feelings of conscience or doing what's right, whether you call that guilt or conscience, can be a good motivator. For example, if I have said I'm going to do something and I've trapped myself in that and I've promised someone I'm going to do something, I should feel bad if I don't uphold my end of the bargain, as in I've committed to something.
But
However,
I would see that as a promise. If you make a promise, okay, you can't, you should try your very best to make that promise or to do that for your friend. But even if you would then, if you don't feel up for it because mentally you'll feel quite low or unstable, not very steady, then it's also about, understanding from the other end, okay, it's okay, and you don't have to feel guilty.
But in that case, other people will make you feel guilty. Other people will hold you to things and they will speak things over you that are maybe not helpful by saying, well, you're a letdown or you're this, you're that, and people will try and say things to make you change your behaviour to try and control you. And guilt as a form of control then is a bad thing. Obviously, if someone's going to give me a hard time about something and I feel like I've done my best, I'll be like, I'm not taking that guilt on. No. But if it's something that I have said to myself and I know that I should do that, well then maybe feeling guilty isn't a bad thing, because then the next time maybe you'll think, you know what, that was wrong of me, I let myself down, and maybe I'll try a bit better next time. Now,
but isn't it then about finding new ways for yourself to cope with that? Because if I would feel guilt, if I had made myself a promise, like today I'm gonna go for a walk, and okay, I would feel disappointed if I wouldn't do it, but to then feel guilty towards myself, that wouldn't help me.
But again, that's different. That's something that doesn't involve other people, and maybe you can quite easily say, well, I'm not going to feel guilty about that because, well, it's only me involved. But when it comes to you making commitments or organising your life around other people and then letting them down, maybe you should feel guilty, because actually if you didn't feel any guilt, then you just keep letting people down with no consequence.
Yeah, but I think it's also a difference because we're both people pleasers. So, for me, when I can feel guilty when there's not even a reason for me to feel guilty. Like my parents stayed with us for over 2 weeks. And for me, I then want to spend every single moment with them because otherwise I feel guilty if I don't. Now, that's not completely help. And my parents are the most easiest and loveliest people, and they don't ask me to do that, but I put that pressure on myself. So maybe that's then, again, to do with overachieving, I think, wanting to control the situation and not...
I think it comes down to you can only know yourself whether or not it's something that is a negative drive. If you're faced with a choice and you then are gonna feel terrible afterwards if you don't take a certain path, then maybe that's guilt that doesn't need to be there, but only you can know in the situation, because we all have a different conscience, we all have a different view of what's right and what's wrong. Now, you know, we can't make that decision for you, but at the same time, if you just sit with the feeling and the thing that you're going to do or you have done, and you can question, well, is it useful for me to feel guilt over this? Is it trapping me in my own head by being guilty? Is it making me more anxious? Then yeah, you probably don't need it. But then also maybe your conscience does need to be held to account when it comes to, you know, being busy in life and doing things you knew you should be doing and not procrastinating too much. And that then can be where your conscience should kick in rather than maybe guilt.
But I'm thinking, so for example, we're obviously working on our business. We don't have a full-time job at the moment, but working on, you know, creating, setting things up. But then sometimes I like naps in the afternoon, but only if I feel like it.
A lot of people like naps, yeah.
And sometimes I'm quite tired in the afternoon, and then I would feel guilty for then having a nap.
Yeah.
But then I shouldn't feel, you know,
because if your energy was going to be applied to something anyway, would that activity be quality? Would you enjoy it?
No.
Then probably no. It might make you feel even more guilty for not having the energy and not doing it right.
Yeah.
And then you might spin your head around thinking how just everything is black and, you know, it could all be better, and you could get into a bit of a mental trap there if you don't have the energy. So it's probably not bad. And
so again, it's about, so the challenge this week is about focusing and becoming aware of moments that you feel guilt, and why do you feel them?
Where does it come from? Is it rooted in your past?
And also it will be interesting to hear from you guys, what do you think guilt can be a positive, or is it a negative, or is it just in between?
Or is it conscience rather than guilt? Yeah, I mean, I guess, if you have any comments, do let us know below. And if you have any things that you'd like us to talk about, any topics, then do let us know as well. That'd
Definitely.
Be cool. Yeah. Okay,
well, have a great week, and I hope you don't feel so guilty about things.
Be free.
Be free. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Good luck. Bye.